How did it get separated from the body? Bill asked. Difficult to be certain, Sisson said, after this amount of time in the water. Rhona contemplated the grey mass of soggy flesh. The limb had been cut off just below the knee, but by what? Most Glasgow villains liked to dispatch their victims with a knife, although hatchets, axes, machetes, meat cleavers and samurai swords were also popular. Glasgow was knifing capital of the UK. The Western Isles of Scotland were not. I'll take samples from the cut-off point, she suggested. There might be microscopic fragments of metal left in the wound. There was a gagging sound. Chrissy was making for the door. Out in the town last night, Rhona explained. Stomach's a little fragile. I have to go, Sisson said. I'll leave the rest to Dr. MacLeod. A call-out? Rhona asked, when he had left. A body. Fortunately not in my division. The rest of this one could turn up. Then again, it might not. The rugged west of Scotland, including the islands, had thousands of miles of coastline, mostly uninhabited. Depending on weather and tides, the rest of the body could end up anywhere or never be found. We could DNA test the families of the missing fishermen, Rhona suggested. No authorisation to do that yet. The MOD won't like the publicity. There won't be any, if they can help it. After Bill left, Rhona carefully examined the wound and succeeded in retrieving what could be particles of metal and some fibres. She bagged the metal for delivery to chemistry and set about making slides of the fibres. It was while she was extracting the samples that she noticed a possible area of pigmented or tattooed skin above the ankle bone. Putrefaction had rendered the mark indistinct, but if she removed the loose epidermis, it would be clearer on the underlying dermis. If her hunch was right, and it was the remains of a tattoo, it might help identify the owner. An hour later, there was a shuffle outside, and the door squeaked open. Finished with Long John Silver yet? Chrissy was holding her nose. Almost. How's the stomach? Fine. I came to remind you of the time. Rhona glanced at the big clock above the door, already knowing she was running at least 2 hours behind. Trust the foot to arrive on this particular afternoon. The phone rang when she was pulling on her coat. How's it going? Hey, Bill. Rhona managed a smile, despite her hurry. Married with 2 teenage kids, D.I. Bill Wilson represented the father figure Rhona had lost when her own father died 2 years before. Her adoptive parents had a marriage made in heaven. Her dad had outlived her mother by only a couple of years. Bill Wilson filled the gap left by her father in her life. They also worked well together, attuned to each other's thought processes. Their combined brains had solved a number of difficult cases. Rhona waited, sensing Bill's sombre mood. I've had a meeting with the super. The Ministry of Defence want the discovery of the foot kept low profile until we find out who it belongs to. Rhona wasn't surprised. If it helps, I've dug out what might be tiny fragments of metal and rope. I also identified a faint mark above the ankle bone that just might be a tattoo. If we manage to enhance the image digitally, it could identify the owner. Good. Rhona caught sight of the clock again. Sorry, Bill. I have to go. I have an early flight to LA and I haven't done my homework yet. Business class, I hope. Paid for by our transatlantic cousins. Rhona took a last look round the lab, then slipped her laptop into its case and slung it over her shoulder. The disappearance of fishing boats was not uncommon in the waters off the west coast of Scotland. The MOD had to practice submarine manoeuvres somewhere, and where better than Raasay Sound? If the MOD thought they were responsible for this death, it would go some way to explaining the secrecy. Get in before the press. Stop uncomfortable questions being asked in Parliament. Anyway, if the rest of the body didn't turn up, some poor woman would be burying a foot in place of her fisherman husband. Rhona pulled the lab door shut and headed for the stairs. Old George was on duty.